has recorded manifold growth in turnover and profitability, propelled by dedicated and focused thrust given by the top management team, of which Mr. L. Vishwanathan is a key member and made a significant contribution to the growth of the organization. He currently looks after finance, human resource development, research, and is heading the corporation's core business unit, that is custodian business. At his initiative, SHCIL got into document management system, which is currently run by a separate subsidiary, of which he serves as on the board as a director. Prior to joining SHCIL, he has worked in Times India Group, Pfizer, Nelco, and Sonodyne. He is a holder of bachelor's degree in science from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta University, cost accountant from Indian Institute of Cost Accountant of India, certified public accountant from USA, and overall experience of 30+ years in finance, HR, business development, and systems in IT, pharmaceuticals, and financial services in the capital market industries. With this, I would like Mr. Vishwanathan to take over and give the students of AVAGMAH talk about his various experience, how business transformation takes place in the real world, and I'm sure he would be ready for open question and answer sessions also. So with this, I hand over to Mr. Vishwanathan.
Good morning, everybody. This is Vishwanathan here. Thank you, Mr. Suresh Rangadurai, for an excellent introduction of me. Today's topic is business transformation. This is a topic which is always contemporary. It has been there ever since the corporations or organizations have started. Organizations always look for something to be changed, and if the change results in a permanent form, it becomes a transformation. Basic difference between people normally say that management change. What is the change? Change means is the way things are done or adapting process or procedures. Transformation, on the other hand, deals with major changes, such as changes that would result in different organization. For example, a new organization culture or a total restructured organization. These are the basic difference between a change and this thing, transformation. One should understand this before we start this topic on what is it between organization and organization transformation, organization change and organization transformation. Now, there is a difference between organizational transformation and a business transformation. Because why I said I've chosen the topic business transformation is, in the case of organizational transformation, it is only the organization which changes. In the case of business transformation, in the case of organization transformation, the organization changes totally. In the case of business transformation, it is the change in the business, the way it is done, and this in turn will totally change the not only the organization. Sometimes they are the leaders; they change the entire industry. So business transformation, in some way, it is a bigger role than the organization transformation. From an organization point of view, organizational transformation is a bigger role, whereas from a overall industry perspective, the business transformation is a bigger role. So this is the fundamental difference between business transformation and organization transformation. Now I'll go into my slides. Now the first slide talks about what are the trigger for hello. Yeah, the first slide talks about what are the various triggers for business transformation. One is the business structure. Say if the business model itself is such that you envisage that in due course it might become void or it might become obsolete, then in that case business that will trigger a transformation in the business. There could be a product. See, within business there could be a product which could result in that product could be life cycle is coming to near end, or You know that life cycle of that particular product is going to be for a shorter period, and you have started the next product and you wanted to have a transformation done on that. Then market, it is driven by sometimes market, because market changes. Whatever, suppose, say for example, a small example I'll give you. In the case of say we had about 15-20 years back, they had the Enfield as a bike, which was supposed to be the market leader. Which was supposed to be the market leader in the field of two-wheeler bike. Now they were constantly making a lot of not innovation, a lot of improvements in the product in such a way that their product were very comfortable for people, very comfortable. But they never realized that in future the product is going to be a totally different product with a higher cc of engines. That's what happened when Suzuki and all these people came, but then they changed the game of the product, how it has to be. Then nobody was preferring Enfield, despite the fact in that particular cc it was the best car, best bike. So this product also triggers the change. Then the other products took over as a leader. Then Enfield started slowly building up again. Now I believe recently they have again brought out with a good product, and that must have changed the total business transformation within the organization. Similarly, information technology. IT is almost every month or every day it is changing, and the entire business model of any organization has to reorient itself with respect to the changes in the IT information technology. I have a full case study of State Bank of India, so I'm not going to discuss in detail. Now, all this business transformation, all this transformation is not possible because an organization is not just a physical asset or a product or some infrastructure. It is all driven by people. So it has an impact on both the top management, the middle management, and middle management, and also the lower management, in addition to the top and middle. So people, how they will be, how they have been used. These are all coming in my next few steps, where I'll be talking to you about the case studies of two great companies, three great companies. So you'll get to know about that. Infrastructure, again, is another part which normally triggers the business transformation. And then innovation is a constant process. If you don't innovate, you are obsolete. So again, innovation is a thing which will change the life. Then similarly, branding and advertisement, how you brand and how you advertise, that makes a lot of difference. And then customer servicing also makes the. See, I've got all this in detail in my following presentation, so I'm not going into the details of this. Okay, next slide is change and transformation identity. The first process, the transformation involves several processes. So I'll, in brief, discuss with you the few of the process. The first is the change and transformation means identification. Normally, it is in any organization, it is the top person as an individual or the top management group as an organization realizes that transformation is required in the way the organization is conducting its business. This realization usually occurs when change or transformation agents perceive a gap in performance in terms of existing performance and ideal performance. There is usually a particular incident or event that precipitates the need for transformation. For example, customer complaint. So a system that is not working well, or change in market profiles, or new legislation, all this will trigger the change. So that will be understood by the first the top or the group top management team. They first realize that such a transformation is required. At this stage, actually, it is not exactly clear whether the scope of the intended transformation should be, although it may be evident that some sort of change is required to improve the situation. Now, next stage comes, how do you then you have to analyze the status quo and gap analysis. That's what I'm saying. statistical gap analysis. But after the need for transformation has been identified, it is important to ascertain whether the transformation is needed by analyzing the status quo. This step is of utmost importance actually, because many change interventions fail when managers try to immediately implement a new system without analyzing the present system and the extent of the transformation required. By analyzing the status quo, the extent and scope of performance discrepancies are clearly identified, which in turn will make it easier to decide an appropriate transformation intervention. Third step is to define the scope of transformation and plan accordingly. When one pursues reports or documents, decisions must be taken with regard to the extent and scope of transformation required. For example, if a customer satisfaction survey reveals that customers are dissatisfied with the product and services provided by the organization, it must be decided who will be affected by the transformation and who will be involved in the transformation strategy. If the transformation intervention requires only technical staffs to be involved, the scope of the change will be more limited actually. However, it is possible that staff of many departments will be involved in the transformation strategy. Then it will be affecting so many people, especially in the case of large scale transformation strategies such as restructuring. In this case, the transformation intervention will have an organization-wide scope and will probably require a long-term transformation strategy and allocation of large amount of resources to implement the required transformation. So these are the four major steps involved in the first thing before you start the implementation process. Now next step is the implementation. How do you go about implementing it? So you must first of all develop the transformation management strategy. A transformation management strategy must be developed to guide the implementation of the new organizational system. However, it is imperative to include people in the development of the transformation management strategy by giving them the opportunity to provide inputs and suggestions on how transformation should be implemented. A more facilitative approach is therefore needed, one which will give direction to the transformation on the one hand, but it should do so in a flexible manner to ensure that people are involved in the planning of transformation management strategy. So it's again people who are very core to this. So that is the first step. Second step is communication transformation strategy. One must communicate. One of the main reasons why people tend to resist change is that need for transformation is often not well communicated. Before even a strategy can be developed, people must understand why transformation is required. The need for transformation as well as the benefits of the transformation for both the organization and the people must be very well communicated. In fact, in the subsequent slides, you will find how all this has been done in a very systematic manner in some of the companies. Then comes implementation strategy. In the case of implementation strategy, one should know what exactly policy they should be coming out with, and roles and responsibility should be defined, how to implement and who are the persons who are going to be implemented. If it is across the organization, it has to be done in maybe stages, or some of the parallel activity can be done, some of the activity can be done parallelly. And training and development of team members. Every person has to be trained. See, first of all, if the objectives are told to the people, then the training is possible, and if the training is there, then people will be able to implement the transformation strategy. But generally, see, I am telling you in a very simple form, but actually if you go through it, I have gone through in some of my earlier organization, even in the current organization, it's a very painful process. So unless you are very clear what exactly you want, your goal is set, and people are trained, people are told about you, they should be convinced. Even attitudinal training is very important. Attitudinal training will make them to appreciate the need for transformation, because in a large organization, usually the transformation gets realized at the top. It has to flow from the top to bottom. So in a large organization, what happens is there are hierarchies which are there, which takes over the distance, which actually takes the distance from the top to the bottom. So invariably the resistance could be either from the bottom or from the middle. So unless everybody is communicated first and trained, and the need is given to them, then they will take it. It's the people who take it, who take the who will drive it. It cannot be done by a machine, or it cannot be done by, although see, you may use information technology as a tool or infrastructure as a tool, but it is not the end in itself. The final end has to be done by people. So it is the people which is very important in this entire thing. So unless they are trained and developed, it is not possible to implement the transformation strategy. See, I will give you an example, small example again. Earlier on, people used to say 3 best companies in the world used to be, one is IBM, known for its marketing. No, IBM. Another one is Kodak, and third is Rank Xerox. In the case of IBM, they chose that people are the best. So we will take care of our people. They will in turn take care of the business. In the case of Kodak, their policy was to say that we'll have an excellent product that will sell on its own. In the case of Rank Xerox, they say that we will serve the best to the client, which in turn will give us the best business. If you look at it, now among the 3 companies, in the Fortune 500 companies, in the top is IBM, which sustained. It sustained over all the crust and trough which it had faced, including competitors coming out with a better product and better service and everything. The only reason is IBM has ensured that very good training, and people are kept attitudinally right for them, so that they in turn, every IBMite is expected to be a person who knows everything, and he is expected to be a marketing person. So you will find that they are talking to everyone in a unison. So that made them different from others. And today, see, this transformation of the people into a people orientation made them the top of the Fortune 500. See, the financial results are basically the resultant factor. Normally what happens is, people, when they set target, etc., they normally set the goal in terms of financial result. But instead of that, they miss the point that the input has to be targeted. So if you look at the IBM case, you will find that they have targeted on the input. The main input for any change has to be people. So that is the core of things. So that is the core of things. So that is why that is very important to have the people at the front of all this. People should be put in the front. Here is a question from Alpesh Parekh. Sir, marketing strategy comes in market or infrastructure? No, marketing strategy, see, no strategy, again there are interlinked between all the strategies. You cannot have a marketing strategy in isolation. In certain cases, it may be possible to have a marketing strategy in isolation. See, for example, if you have a dealer network, and if you define that, yes, your dealers should have so and so, this is the capital requirement, this is the infrastructure requirement, and all, you as an organization will not be uh, affected with respect to infrastructure. But otherwise, see, suppose if you are having your own chain, see if you are in the retail chain, etc., where if you want to have your own chain, you need to have a good office. So to that extent, infrastructure is required. And if you need to have a good office in multiple locations, you need to have a connectivity. You need to have a good IT systems to support both in terms of connectivity and hardware, softwares. And see, nowadays with the marketing being done through the social network like say Facebook or Twitter, etc. So you need an infrastructure for that, or through video conferencing. See, like for example, this is my first conference like this where I am talking to people on this. So this itself requires an infrastructure. So when I was talking to AVAGMAH, I didn't have this mic with me at that time. So I told them they provided me. So there is an infrastructure element in this. So in any marketing, so you cannot isolate two strategy, separately. Each has an interlinked strategy. Then somebody has asked me a question from Banu Pratap. He's asked, if transformation is driven by people, then why not implement from bottom to top instead of top to bottom? See, you are very right in your question partially, because see, the top's job is to basically identify and realize that the transformation is required and communicate it properly. But when it comes to implementation, everybody implements, and if you find in terms of number of people involved in the implementation, the more from the bottom it is better. Because finally the implementation has to be, not only implementation, after the transformation takes place, it has to be the person from the bottom who has to be finally work on a day-to-day basis on that basis. So definitely it is not top to bottom and bottom to, when it comes to implementation, it is top to bottom and bottom to top. Okay, so that's how it. So you're partially right and partially. So these are the two basic things which are required for organization transformation. Now I go to the next slide. The process, as I told you, I am just putting it in a diagrammatic form. Transformation, this business transformation results in actually transforming the organization, which has got strategic need. Then initiating the change, which is the implementation part. Transformation initiation, and then afterwards identifying and planning transformation, visioning, shaping and planning, design, process creation, and proving and transition, stabilization, benefits, and then you have benefit realization and strategic outcome. So this is how, in whatever I told you in a pictorial form, this is how it works. So that is about the how the transformation takes place. Now I'll start with case studies. Okay, the first one is on actually I have my this thing is arranged slightly different from the first slide which is shown here. My first slide, actually the first case will be on Tata Group, and second slide will be on State Bank, and third will be on Pfizer. So I have just interlinked, I have not changed it, just realized it. Okay, the subsequent slides will be based on this. As far as Tata Group is concerned, you will find structural change, global brand, then strategic tie-ups, then people policies, then outward looking. These are the a few things you will learn from that. And with respect to State Bank of India, customer servicing, product changes, business orientation, and information technology. Now here is where my previous somebody asked Kishore Chauhan when he asked this question. So you will get to know how the business transformation uses the information technology, or information technology has made it's a trigger which brought in terms of business transformation. You will get to know in the case of State Bank of India. I'll go to the next slide. Now, when it comes to Tata Group, I don't think for most of the participants they need any introduction about Tata Group, but I just for the sake of formalities, I'll just say that Tata House or the House of Tata is India's preeminent corporate group. Now, this exercise they started realizing somewhere in early 90s, and because they found that they were loose of this thing loosely held firms as a confederation, but they were not working together. Although it was a Tata group, we used to call them even then, but it was more of a loose. Each was a silo and separate organization which was working. So that is a time the new CEO of the entire group came in, that is Mr. Ratan Tata, and he made an attempt to strengthen the interrelationship between the group companies at a time when critics claimed that he should be dismantling the alliance completely, given that each organization is actually working in a separate environment. And the liberalization, if you remember, in 1991 when India started the liberalization form, the liberalization also were taking place. So the Tata Group's action illustrates numerous ways in which membership in a diversified group can be used to create value in the way that one tends not to find in advanced economy. The group thus appears to be successfully challenging conventional wisdom from advanced economy. In the meantime, there is a question from Mr. Kishore again. From where these top people come, is it better to promote the bottom layer management to top, or it should be overburdened or hired from outside? See, this is a totally different question, not relevant to the current topic of transformation, but nevertheless, since you have asked me, why I am saying why it is different, it is the individual policy of the organization with respect to the recruitment and also the resources available within the organization. So if you have a top management who are capable of doing it themselves, well and good. Sometimes, most of the time, in fact, consultants are hired. Okay, the consultant gives us advice and the implementation comes from others. Now, it cannot start from bottom, because if it starts from bottom, they may not have the support of the top. Unless the support of the top is there, across the department, it will be very difficult for you to get the support. So it is very, very difficult from that angle. So generally, it has to come from the top only. And as far as whether it is internal or outer or external, it depends on this thing, resource available within or outside. They have to take specialized resources. It has to be, but generally all transformation, there will be some consultant involved in this transformation process. I hope I have answered your question. Okay, and as far as this thing, Tatas are concerned, there are few few things which they focused on. One is the group brand. Actually, the idea was that brand can capitalize on the Tata family's reputation for quality and ethical business practice. And second is exactly how is this reputation going to be useful. Okay, these are some of the things which they thought, and are there other arenas in which the value of the group brand might manifest itself. So these are some of the areas on the brand part of it. So making Tata Industries limited a vehicle for the growth in high technology was the first thing which came. So what they did was, hello. So what they did was to accelerate and broaden his restructuring plan, introduce a new generation of management talent for the house of Tatas. Okay, then Ratan Tata was considering several steps that he hoped he would give group a stronger collective identity. The principle of this was Tata Sons to make responsibility for promoting a unified Tata brand which could be used by all companies that subscribe to the Tata brand equity. Each subscribing company would derive the benefit of the centrally promoted Tata brand and Tata affiliation. Tata Sons would require an annual contribution related to each company's net income. So this is how it was, first thing which he started. Then he started appointing. The second thing is existing loss-making unit. This is the regrouping the group companies in 8 business form, 8 business verticals. Like say you have chemicals, you have steel, you have motors, and like that. They have regrouped the organization and based on the verticals. The existing loss-making organizations were separately taken off, and then separate strategies were introduced on that. Then increasing Tata Sons holding in group, which I have already told you, they have thought that they'll make Tata Sun as the first as a group organization. You see, before that, the Tatas never had a group organization. So it was working. Each one was working separately, and even in Tata Sons, the Tata's holding was very less. It was some point something less percentage. So gradually, if you look, he had increased its stake here, the Tata Group's stake to 50% in the group. Now, in the second, reducing the power struggle between group chairman. I see the groups were working in silos, so there were power struggle. They thought that okay, if a group chairman comes and the individual company chairman, there was a power struggle. So they have identified exactly what the differences are. So these differences have been sorted out, and clear-cut demarcation who will be responsible for what all done them. And they also brought 3 new outsiders from the top eminent persons from outsiders. One is Mr. Gopalakrishnan, who was from Hindustan Liver, and then the second one is Mr. Manav Bose from General Electric, and Kishore Chaukar from ICICI. So these 3 persons were brought, and they were identified to give different perspective of the entire group. These executives joined the existing team consisting of Mr. Ishad Hussain, then Mrs. Sonawala, a 5-member team which reported directly to Mr. Ratan Tata. For the first time, they found what is called as GEO, Group Executive Officers. Their roles range from sitting on the boards of individual Tata company, where they acted as a link between the group and the individual companies, to assume specific responsibility for new business development, finance, strategy, human resource development, and major cross-company initiatives. When attracting new executives to Ratan Tata, he had been candid in describing the enormous challenge the group faced. So this is how the first thing he did. Again, if you look at the answer, Mr. Dubey's answer, the first is this thing, people. So I am again maintaining my area, this thing of identifying of a good people from this. Then review of mandatory retirement age. That was a time actually, there was some problem with one of the chief executive of one of the largest Tata company, that was with Mr. Modi. Modi was at the helm of affair for a long time. He was almost nearing 75, and he was continuing to be holding the helm of Tata Steel. Earlier it used to be called as Tata in the Iron and Steel Company. So, but there was a lot of differences between Modi and the group as such. So they could not find any way of getting him out of the Tata group. So what they did is, and people cannot also infinitely be in a place, so that then it becomes a stale. So the first time any Indian organization or any Indian group has brought this is mandatorily they made the retirement age to 65 for all executive directors. That means MDs and all the directors who are on the board, etc. not on the board. Directors were on the board, but working directors like executive directors, they brought a mandatory thing at 65, and then for those who are non-executive directors, their age is at 75, which is being strictly followed, as you might have already heard. That Mr. Ratan Tata himself is going to become 75 in this December, so he has already found a successor for him. Mr. Cyrus Mistry is going to take over. So this has been strictly followed. So everybody started retiring at that age. The third thing is the forming of new Tata as administrative services. See, Tata Administrative Services is like Indian Administrative Services, which runs the country. Tatas have got what is called as Tata Administrative Services, where they pick future leaders from a good management institute usually, but nowadays they are also going for others like chartered accountant or cost accountant or maybe some engineers and from very reputed organization, very reputed institute who have got they have found that there is a potential for them to be groomed for a future leader within the group. So they formed this. It was there earlier, but not structured very clearly. Now they have made a structure. Now they structured, and they have now made it into a very planned manner. Each say cash executives in the first few years are exposed to few companies, and I was told that in the first 10 years they go through at least in various positions in at least 3 organizations, apart from the initial training of going through almost all the organization. So this gives a good grip. Then at the end of the 10 years, the person is given a very big leadership position in any of the organization, and from there they are identified for future CEOs and maybe growth, and that is being strictly followed. And you can see many of the current Tata top executives are from the TAS background. And they also made Tata Son responsible for the branding. As I told you initially, when he came, Mr. Ratan Tata said that he will need to have a Tata branding. The idea is to leverage on the brand for the whole group organization also. So what they did is, every group organization, they were to subscribe for this branding. If they subscribe, then they have to pay an amount which is they call it as contribution, because we didn't want it to be called as a royalty. It's not a royalty; it's more of a contribution they wanted to have. So in terms of a contribution, say some percentage, it could be less than 1%, or it could be up to maximum 4 to 5%, depending upon the size and the nature of the profitability and the income. So they started making this as a branding. Now, branding was a very important aspect of it. So Ratan Tata was considering several steps, and of which branding was one of the most thing. Each company was subscribing company would derive the benefit of the centrally promoted Tata brand and Tata affiliation. This was the most important part. Then that each subscribing company pay a contribution based on its degree of association with the brand. So up to a maximum of 5% of the profit before tax. This is what they were concerned. And Tata Sons planned to use the fee money to build a national, and later it became international group brand image by emphasizing a set of core values and ethics. So this is how the brand building was done, and that had also helped in terms of building the brand value, and other companies started leveraging on this brand. Then they also had Tata groups. See, they started everything group wise. Companies not using Tata brand were invited to be part of this scheme also. Then later on, Tata group companies signed Tata brand equity and business promotion agreement. So everything was centralized so that it helps the organization which is in a nascent stage the advantage of some bigger organization. Then they also subscribe to the agreement to adhere to Tata Code of Conduct. This is the first company, first group to have a code of conduct for their uniform standard of quality and reliability. Then first corporate funded political trust funded named named electoral fund was established. This is to Tata has a very high ethic value, so to fulfill that this electoral fund was done. Then the group portfolio criteria for core business will be fitment and performance tests. These tests will examine level of fitness, its contribution to the group and its overall performance. Then fitment test will calculate value of a company added to the group, measure the value of the this thing added to the company, and determine whether there was an agenda adding value in both the direction. Then performance test measured, return against its cost of capital. All this were introduced at the group level. They also have a talent pool to promote this task, which I have already discussed in detail, so I will not go into the detail. Then this is how the organization structure involved, like this: Tata Sons, Tata Industries. Then you have major Tata companies like Telco, now it's called as Tata Motors, Tisco, which is called as Tata Steels, Tata Electric Company, ACC. ACC was then a part of Tata company, now it's no more. Tata Chemicals, Tata Tea, Indian Hotels. So these are the major ones. The new ventures which they had at that time was Tata Honeywell, Tata Telecom, Bangalore Airport. They were supposed to set up a Bangalore Airport at that time. So see, this case study I have purposely taken little older time because today's thing, if I have to have, I must have the proper permission to take that. So that's why this is available for public, so I could talk from this. So that's why I have taken this. The point which I wanted to say is, see, when Ratan Tata said that in 4 years' time, he had a plan that this should result in at least every 4 years it should be doubling in terms of the sales. That's what they actually planned based on that. So if you look at the curve, actually it has done the first year itself. It has started becoming 1.70, that is 72%. Second year 82%. Third year it has become more than double. Fourth year it has more than double. It goes on, and then okay, because of some temporary aberration there was some dip, but otherwise if you look at it, it has more than doubled the original growth rate. So they have achieved successfully this entire turnaround by using proper people management, proper centralization of branding, and then you have say this is how the PAT grow. Say sorry, this is how the PAT grow. So by using the proper branding, proper centralization of management, and including a huge training the proper talent pool, and by following a good code of conduct and ethics and diversifying, they have really achieved in every 4-year period as they planned a big organization. Today Tatas are known not only in India, all over the world. Recently Mr. Ratan Tata was giving a very good interview, in that he said that 60% of the group's income comes from abroad and only 40% from India. It's one of the first Indian multinational to be very successful abroad. Of course, they also went into a lot of acquisitions and also mergers. They did the last few years, especially last 4 or 5 years. They have done a lot of, including like Jaguar Land Rover for Tata Motors. And even Tata Steel. So every big companies have grown even inorganically by acquisition. But what gave them that platform is the original thought of centralizing the group in terms of branding, centralization of the code of conduct and ethics and the culture. So this has brought that, irrespective of who they acquired, the same thing has been brought in. Now the next, I'll go to this because of shortage of time. I'm just going to the second case study a little faster. Now State Bank need again no introduction, and in this also you will find the business people or the enabling initiative, and then customer service was the driver, key driver. Branding was the most important part of it. Now this is again the case, and it was in 2006. Mr. O.P. Bhatt took over as the chairman of the State Bank of India. For information, see, State Bank of India at that time had, apart from State Bank of India, they had subsidiaries like State Bank of Travancore, State Bank of Saurashtra, State Bank of Mysore, State, like that. They have a lot of Patiala and so many other subsidiaries. They had about 5-6 subsidiaries with them. Now, when he took over, somehow he found that State Bank seems to be losing. At one point in time, State Bank is to be considered on par with almost like India, and every Indian knew only one bank that used to be called as State Bank of India. But when SBI started losing, you see, it was not even among the top 20 in the world, and and even in India it was somewhere not in the top 5. And SBI had started losing the market in the last, before this exercise was started, to in the last 2 decades to private banks, especially when new growth done by ICICI Bank, a private bank launched in 1994. They almost were about to overtake in terms of deposit in 4 years from SBI. But however, by 2010, you will find that SBI had more than doubled its profit, deposits, and advance. They gained market share and won the Asian Banker Achievement Award for the strongest bank in Asia Pacific. So the main trigger, I would say, this thing is trigger started off here from one, the market. Second is from the point of view of customer services, and third is so that was that trigger which started the transformation need. Hello. Yeah. So what they found is there were a time when every person used to bank, and India used to be synonymous. The State Bank of India used to be synonymous with Indian Bank. However, what happened over the years, they were not upgrading their systems and procedures. They were working in the silos. Every branch had their own manual system and working. In the meantime, the competitors started having anywhere banking system and fund transfer through electronic system, but State Bank were nowhere nearer to that. So they wanted to first, SBI had to change its image to be relevant to the youth and to the Indian middle class, and for this they had to change the image. So Mr. Bhatt actually embarked on an ambitious branding campaign in 2007. So, but he didn't want to advertise that because he wants to be clear that whether are they in a position to service. So what he did is he started off again to answer Mr. Ashutosh. Are you able to hear Mr. Ashutosh? You have mentioned that I cannot hear you. Yes. Okay. Now, what Mr. Bhatt did is he did a lot of this thing. First and foremost is what he did is he wanted to see that he wants to win back the middle class family who used to be banking with the State Bank of India, and then own rural India, which they used to be dominant over that, and rebuild profitable wholesale bank, and then build a global treasury. So dominate SMEs and smart global expansion. These are the tasks which he had. Leader in the emerging new business. So this is what he first created for himself as a task goal. Then this goal he started communicating. This is the excellent job which he did. Never in the past any nationalized bank had done something like this. It's a good case to be hearing. See, what he did is he broad-based the communication. First of all, he had a conclave at, say, a place outside of the office. Somewhere he took them to Ambi Valley or some place where they had a very threadbare brainstorming session, where he communicated to the people that there is a need for change of this organization, and not only change, he said that it will be irrelevant because the technology were so bad, not so bad, they were not leveraging on the technology advancement at all. So what he said that if this goes on, the day will come, State Bank will become irrelevant. So what they did is he talked to his first 4-day session he had with the top management consisting of the managing director and deputy managing directors. See, in State Bank there is one chairman and there are 4 managing directors and then number of deputy managing directors. So these are the top level people. So these people he took them out, and then so that they are out of the routine, and then they had a discussion about the change. By the end of the 4th day, see, initially a lot of apprehension, which normally happens in any change process, because people will have a lot of apprehension. The apprehension could be of 2 types: one, whether from the organization point of view; the second could be from the point of view of an individual. So he had a lot of, they had a lot of apprehension. He started convincing them, and then at the end of 4th day, everybody took it as their own process. Then he went into the next level, that is at the general manager, chief general manager and general manager level. Then he took it to the AGM level, which was another set of people. At the agents are generally zonal heads kind of a thing. And the AGM level, when it happened, he instead of actually when it was at the general manager and senior general manager, he has assigned a few deputy managing director to convey this, communicate this. But when it was AGM, he personally went because he found that there is a huge gap between the AGM and chairman. So they cannot actually, by the time the communication goes to them, it gets diluted and it may be very few of the original ideas will get passed on. So what he did is he personally attended the again same type of meetings at the various locations in India. And then it was to the branch managers, and then afterwards finally he also called the workers. That was the very, very important aspect of it, because nothing was possible. The workers were coming as an impediment for investing or for implementing any technology. So then once if the workers understood, not only understood, they started owning it. They said the first time any chairman has come and met and addressed us on a business issue. So we thought that always the topmost people in the business, but they came and addressed us. Not only addressed, they took some of our suggestion, and he took everybody's suggestion at every stage. So this was winning the IT platform. And with this, they could win the IT platform, that is core banking system. It is called as CBS. The efficient operating process was brought in, developed consistent customer services, integrated system was included on par with any other banks, and then implement redesigned business, reshape market through consolidation, and everything was monetized. So that means they have monetized even the performance measurement of the people. They monetize the training involvement, infrastructure, real estate, and everything, and strengthen the capital management. So that they could strengthen the capital management. All this was done simultaneously, so that they could start implementing the new system of working. So the resultant factor is that punctuality became, say from September to December, punctuality increased, manning of counters became better, bearing of ID cards became known to people, dress code of employees, availability of forms or brochures. This is the result of impact study on customer satisfaction basis. So they started like staffs receive customers courteously. Earlier, people used to wait in a queue in State Bank. Then even the infrastructure was done in such a way that it can actually service the client better. See, if you go to now State Bank office, you may not find that long queue which used to be there about 7-8 years back, because they have system, they have various counters, and if you go sometimes if in one counter more number of people are there, second counter is opened. So it's more towards the customer. So in all count, the customer count has increased substantially. And they started putting this kind of a poster that today we are India's largest bank. How do we stay India's best? So these are some of the motivational things which was given to the employees. How does a 200-year-old bank become a 200-year younger bank? So it is a very good one. So just to say that you are not old, think young so that you can adapt to the technology. Then other banks have a 5-star branches. How can we offer 7-star services? So this is to compare with the swanky offices which most of the foreign banks and all had. To counter that, this was the advertisement. This is all for internal advertisement. No? This was all together. Let's reinvent SBI. Let's make our future better than our history. So all this are for internal advertisement which was put to motivate the people. And then this kind of a banker to this Indian, banker to this Indian, showing at different rural, semi-urban, urban, and even different class of people. So that's what it's showing. See, from the rich to even poor people, everybody can bank with State Bank. That's the meaning of this advertisement. So this kind of an advertisement was put. Then the resultant factor, yes, I'm going slightly faster because I'm running out of time. So I'm going slightly faster. The resultant factor is that in the 4 years time, the State Bank's deposits have grown from $83.9 billion to $179 billion, and advances grew from $46.26 billion to $140.74 billion. Interest income, that is almost doubled from 7.41 to more than double, 15.81. Net interest income almost again nearing double, 3.18 to this. Then operating profit as more than almost nearing double, about 95% increase. Net profit as more than doubled. So all this shows that if you do a long-term transformation of the organization, the resultant effect will be very good. This is what happened with the SBI. Now I am going to my last case study, which is on Pfizer. Partly even I was involved in this, so I can speak from my heart in this. But however, I have got a very limited time. Okay, so Pfizer was a major player in the Indian pharmaceutical company. Most of you, I was told, are also from Pfizer or pharmaceutical company. So it used to be in the world. Even today, it is in the top 2 or 3rd. I don't know exactly where the position is. Indian pharmaceutical industry was highly regulated. See, you had most of the products which are of say life-threatening or those kind of a product comes under the DPCO. So there are restrictions. DPCO means Drug Price Control Order. So in the pharmaceutical industry, there is a restriction on the pricing of a product. How much ever may be the cost, and invariably the pharmaceutical industry will represent to a DPCO, the cost plus and all those. But the major things lies in one, reducing your cost, and second is introducing more and more product which are of the nature which are out of the DPCO, so that it can take care of the losses or less contribution given by the DPCO product into the main product. So this used to be the big challenge, and sales is generally driven by the medical representative in all pharmaceutical organizations. It used to be that one of the first company to they were at that time, most of the companies, even now most of the companies in pharma used to be focused mainly on organic growth, that year on year they grow, maybe a small growth of about 10 to 20%, sometimes it goes up to 40, sometimes 30, keeps on hovering between. There was no major growth which was there. So because of the constraint which they had with respect to A, growth, B in terms of regulation, and C in terms of the penetration, etc. So they thought that they must get into inorganic growth. So it was somewhere in early 80s, somewhere around 86, 87. The first thing they started was they acquired the Gujarat-based drug manufacturing company called Euphoric Drugs Limited for expanding drug manufacturers, and they also expanded to a new acquired another company. Almost the same time they acquired another company. The idea was these companies were nothing great. They were all entrepreneurial driven companies, but they had the license, but they were not doing business the way Pfizer used to have. So, for example, in infrastructure, I remember that they in this Euphoric Drugs Limited, when they purchased the infrastructure, what it was by the hitherto company, the building of manufacturing building and the office premises, the factory, the office premises, etc. The way it was, the Pfizer team at the headquarters in New York, when they came, when they found the structure of the building and the way the buildings are kept, they uttered the word that even Pfizer will not build a toilet like this. So that was the condition in which it was. So the big challenge was to demolish this existing building. At the same time, if you stop production of the existing medicines which has been manufactured there, then there is a possibility of license being revoked by the regulators. So the challenge was to run the factory simultaneously and build a new factory in the same location. So this took about 2.5 years. Things involved even money, local borrowing, and then constantly putting the people both for the project and as also for the existing people. The best part was the development of the new people. The people who were there in the earlier organization that they were entrepreneurial run organization. So the workers or the officers there, they were definitely not at the standard or the level at which the Pfizer used to be conducting business. So one of the big challenge was to train these people right from the day-to-day things. See, some of the people were even trained, some of the workers for that matter were even trained how to use the washroom. To that extent the training was done, and then they were trained on the manufacturing plant, and they were trained, the officers were made to look not only look, then know how to do work. The work was taught to them how to do. Then support system like accounting and others were brought in as per the Pfizer system. Pfizer at that time were having an integrated cost and standard costing and integrated financial accounting system with the budgetary control system, and both the Indian as well as both the Indian and US GAAP were followed. So this implementation of that to an existing people who doesn't know even basically in accounts in the Indian context. So taught that and bringing out the change in the culture of the people. They were made like a lot of employee engagement activities apart from the salary. Slight hike in the salary was made. Employee engagement activities like training and then recreation. Like they had a team of people for cricket, football, table tennis, etc. was brought in. So these were some of the employee engagement work were done, and which actually attitudinally changed the people more, and they understood that these are some of the things required if they have to survive. So that made them to change, and as a result, finally they could start manufacturing more number of products from that factory. Eventually, what Pfizer did is started moving again back from there to their existing plant in Tata, and then they sold off this at a very, very high price to another organization. They got a very good value addition for this. So Pfizer made a lot of things. One is acquisition, changing the people, getting more products into its net, and then afterwards it changed to the new another existing organization, sold off this organization. So it's beautifully done, by which the value creation has been done at the end of the day with merger and all. Then this became a lesson for them also and helped them to. This was a small company. These two were a small company which they took over and then merged and then afterwards demerged it, and that helped them to merge with a bigger organization called Park Davis, which was one of the topmost 5 company. So that is how that's how the Pfizer turned around. It helped, and really it was a nice turning around. You could see the people were with smile and no retracement. Generally, what happens when mergers and all take place, a lot of apprehension for the acquiring company takes place. In the case of Pfizer, all this was not. They all felt that they are going for a better life, better cost of standard of life and everything. So the nice case history of how organization really transformed a new organization, and also see the existing organization was also made to transform by giving training and mingling with existing people to treat them properly, and maybe in some cases the people who are there in that are brought in the very senior positions. So all this made a very good case study of a transformation which took place. So I think we are running out of time. There was this thing from one CBS Money. I think probably he's working with Pfizer. I was not aware of it. International #1, very good. It's good to hear because I am also an ex-Pfizerite. So very good to hear about it. Thank you very much for this. Now I would be ready to take any call, and if Nisha or Vivek or Rangadurai is on the line, please let me know about the questions. I would be very happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much, Mr. Vishwanathan. I think Nisha will be taking the questions. This is Suresh here. So yes. I guess Nisha will be talking about the questions with you. Nisha,
that's right. Voice is out to you for you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I am able to hear you. Before that, I just wanted to tell you one thing. I have not done the conclusion part because I have almost discussed the whole thing. So if anybody has a question, I can refer to the conclusion the slide of mine.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Hello.
Nisha, your voice is breaking. Nisha, your voice is breaking.
If anyone has a question, you can just type
into
the chat box and if anyone has a question.
I think chat box is better. Thank you. One Mr. Sunil Mahajan has said thanks, and other one said very good session. Kishore Singh, thank you. Thanks a lot. Also patiently hearing me. I hope. See, I have not purposely included the conclusion session because you must infer it yourself. I'm sure these are the points, which is a summarized version of that. If you need any particular aspect, I will definitely be willing to answer. But one thing is, as a student, I wanted to tell, for a student, see, you all will be a part of restructuring at any point, some point in time. So the basic idea is to have an open mind and be a part of it. At the end of it, if you do, you'll feel very happy about it. As I told you, see, I was a part of that Pfizer restructuring. So I am today very happy to hear from you only to say that it's #1 in the world. So at that point in time when I was working, it was not a #1, it was in the top 5. So it's extremely happy to know about it. So you'll also feel that satisfaction in your life about this. Yeah, somebody has asked, please type your question. Okay. Well.
Mr. Vishwanathan, I think most of the points that are coming up in the chat window are talking about what you have delivered today and talking about Pfizer, you being a part of Pfizer. Most of it will be congratulatory, on a congratulatory note or a feel-good factor. So that's very nice.
Yeah, thank you. So some question has come. I think transformation should be customer-driven or employee-driven. Hello, are we on the line?
Yeah. Please go ahead, Mr. Vishwanathan. We are able to hear you.
Yeah, transformation should, yes, it has to be easy. It can be customer-driven or it can be employee-driven. But at the end of the day, if there are no customers, your business does not survive. So it's very, very important to have customer service first, and then customer service. As I gave you the initial example between, see, IBM, Xerox. IBM was looking at the people, Xerox was looking at service. So the choice is you can have a mix of both. Somebody is asking me question, pharma, where does it head going forward? Actually, I'm not an analyst to predict about it, but I can say that there is always a need for a pharma company because there are always some diseases which keeps coming, and people are nowadays more conscious about the health, etc. So they'll be more interested in taking supplements and vitamins, tablets, etc. So the pharma company will never have a recession, in my opinion. How do you find MNC future in India in context of Indian pharma? Well, the MNCs have added tremendous value to the Indian pharma in terms of both manufacturing and coming out with a quality product which was needed for the Indian people as a whole. So they will continue to grow and continue to contribute toward the Indian economy, and they will be one of the force to reckon with. There could be new Indian companies who may also come, who may take a leadership position in the industry, provided they also spend like the MNC organization in terms of say research and development. I know that companies like say Pfizer spends an enormous amount on research, so that will that is the need of the hour, even if any Indian companies comes to India, and I'm sure regulators or government cannot ignore today the MNC, especially in pharma. To give just an example, even during 1979, when most of the foreign companies in India were driven out because of the regulations, like Coca-Cola, IBM, all of them left India because of the regulations were made stringent in terms of foreign company to expand. But Indian pharmaceutical company was still dominated by foreign companies, like the Pfizer was there, Park Davies at that time, Glaxo. They all contributed quite a lot. So I am very optimistic as far as the pharma companies in India is concerned, irrespective of whatever could be. No one can ignore this. No policy maker can ever ignore this. What is your opinion on the patent right and which is volatile here? MNCs might reconsider introducing research molecules if patent rights are flouted. I am not an authority actually to talk on this topic, so I am not actually reacting to this. Sir, can we conclude in another 5 minutes? Yes, we can conclude. If there are no questions, I have given my view. I have just shared my view with all the participants. So if they have any questions, I'll be answering. But otherwise, there are some case studies where it went wrong. Well, there are a number of case studies where it went wrong. But basically, it goes wrong because a lack of management vision. First and foremost, that's why I said the vision is very important. Management commitment, which is characterized by ineffective leadership or lip service to the change. See, many people do it for the sake of doing it. So if this is the case, then it will fail. If there is no visible senior management champion for changing, or the champion or the change process does not have credibility in the organization. So this is the second reason. The third reason is a lack of employee commitment. Fourth reason is making assumptions about the change that is not necessarily true. That is the fourth one. For example, expanding the current bureaucracy is certainly not a positive change and will lead to inefficiency. Then unclear responsibility, when managers and employees are not sure of their particular responsibility, then it can fail. The lack of understanding of the scope, content and process of the change will also, and the intervention of the top management, if it is not there, it will change. So definitely, see, today I wanted to leave you with a good note, so that's why I started off with a good case studies. Maybe we'll talk about some failure cases later on, but there are more number of failures, not more, equally good number of failures if these factors have not been taken in terms of transformation. I think in most of the cases studies that we have gone through, emphasis on customers for growth. Thank you. Any questions? Otherwise, Nisha, we can I think conclude it. So to conclude again, I am saying that vision, product, and people and infrastructure. These 4 points are the main ingredient for change. And once if this is not only the ingredient, and this will result in the change definitely. And if it is successfully implemented.
This is Suresh here again.
Yes. Yes.
Just wanted to reiterate what you had spoken about from my past experience, having worked in various industries. Is that way back in early 90s when I was working with Hindustan Motors, we were trying to implement, though it is not a business transformation case, but it actually emphasizes on the bottoms up, or the taking along the example that you gave, that the chairman of State Bank of India went down the line and spoke to everybody to bring everyone to the same page. I just wanted to re-emphasize on a completely different note, is that ISO 9001 in a manufacturing organization at that time was trying to be implemented, and when it was handed down from the top-down approach, all the documentation and what the process procedures should be was created by the various departmental heads, and then it was given to the operators down level, saying that okay, now you implement ISO 9001. It never took off. They tried it for 1 year, and then it was decided, saying that okay, let us bring everybody into the table and let us have it as a collaborative effort, where the process and procedures were written by the workers and the supervisors and verified and okayed by the managers. It was implemented in 2 months' time. So just to give a different perspective altogether.
Yeah. So that's what. See, one of the thing is the failure was because of the middle management having and not understood the need of. And sometimes what happens is they drift. They drift in the sense, say, the top management have not properly communicated, or they have not emphasized. See, sometimes communications, people down the line know based on the type of communication you make. If it is not emphasized and constantly followed up for, and it is left to the junior level to implement it totally, then it can get difficult. So it's at the right time, actions have to be taken to ensure that it is followed up through.
Agreed. Totally agree with you.
So that is very, very important. In fact, see, both out of the 3 case studies, I have worked in the Tata, so with the Tata also, you have read out that Nelco. I was there for a long time. It's a part of Tata company. So that was one case where we had not actually done this part initial stage. Now they have joined the group. They have joined the group with respect to all this what they have done. Earlier it was working in isolation. They were not party to the treaty between the group company and the group itself. So as a result, that was again a case. If I have to talk about that, that itself will take a session about it. So again a case where it was not originally, the tops this thing. Although Mr. Ratan Tata himself was the chairman and he graduated from Nelco. For information, he was there for substantially around 16 or 17 years. He was himself was present in Nelco as a chairman. So, but despite that, the things did not move the way normal Tata company was moving at that point in time. So slowly later on they brought it, but the change was very slow there. It depends. See, it's not necessary that in all the places the change transformation takes place fast. The pace may be different for different organizations, and it all depends on how people adapt it, the kind of people who are present, the training, the importance which is given to it. All this matters quite a lot. So that is why again I am saying, to answer one of the questions earlier, the top who have to drive it. Driving has to be done by top. A portion of it can be done by the bottom people. If the top doesn't drive it, it becomes a failure. Hello.
Yeah, able to hear you.
That's what. So I think, if you have time, you can ask me further questions, or we can have a discussion. But it's up to you. Somebody has said that the case is a post-mortem. Yes, definitely, always a case study is a post-mortem, and only in hindsight we can always say whether the change or the transformation is successful or not successful. So any case for that matter is always a post-mortem. Okay, you can talk about when they are doing it, you cannot talk about it because there is still an element of uncertainty whether it will be resulting in success or non-success. So definitely all these are in post-mortem, definitely. Any further questions? I'll be interested in talking. Otherwise, see, I was told that your next section is starting at 11:30. So if Mr. Suresh wants that, we can keep it till 11:30.
I am not seeing any other questions coming in, Mr. Vishwanathan. So I think we can conclude.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So I hope, thank you very much, Mr. Vishwanathan, for your excellent presentation, and I guess a lot of people have brought, we talk about transformations, but at the end of the day, it is the actual studies and actual cases which really bring out the truth. And as people did point out, saying that whether there are only success cases, but there are also cases which are not too successful. And I take this opportunity to thank everybody, and thanks a lot, Mr. Vishwanathan. And I also would like to say that there was one comment on saying that there should be more such Guru Talks. We certainly will have more such Guru Talks for sure. Thank you very much. And
thank you. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Goodbye, and have a good day.
Thank you. Same to you too. Hello. Thank you.